Smelling delicious, actually. Oh, very nice. You probably think we're alcoholics in the UK. You're not far wrong, actually. She looks so pretty. Yeah, again, you're thinking we're alcoholics. I don't know what more to say. It's lovely. Merry Christmas, everyone. Hi, and I'm back. I'm now going to make the Christmas pudding that I promised you in the end of the Christmas cake recipe that you might find here. First port of call, I will take some fruit. Now, if Francesco can zoom in, this is a bag of mixed fruit, which is raisins, sultanas, and various little pieces of peel. However, I have put in a little secret ingredient, 1.5 ounces of dried cranberries, just gives it a little bit more of a Christmas oomph. Next, I'll add some cooking apple. There's just one medium-sized cooking apple that I've peeled and chopped into chunky pieces, and that goes in like that. Next port of call, I need the zest from 1 orange and 1 lemon, so I'll just go ahead and do that. And now to the lemon, and as always, mind your fingers. We don't need any skin in the Christmas. So that's the zest from the orange and the lemon in. I'm just going to brush off any dregs with my brush because I'm a little bit sad. I don't like to leave any behind. There we go. Next, we're going to take the juice from 1 orange and 1 lemon and squeeze them in too.
The same orange and the same lemon, presumably.
Indeed. Waste not, want not.
I give you a steak knife here.
Oh yeah. Well,
It's easier.
you are right. That went through there nicely, look. Okay, so here we go. This was a little bit over-ripe orange that we had in our bowl, so I'm using that to use it up. And actually, I've got some non-alcoholic punch on the go at the back. I'm going to pop this in as well to give it some oomph. Okay, let's pop that in. Now, I quite like the actual flesh of the orange, so I'm going to bang that in as well. Now for the lemon. And in there, in we go into the punch. There we go, push them under. This is just a bottle of over-the-counter non-alcoholic punch. Obviously you can use the alcoholic one. Popped a couple of cinnamons, or 1 big cinnamon stick I've broken in half and popped in there as well. And that will be delicious when we have it in a little while.
It smells lovely already.
Now, yet again, I like the flesh of the lemon, so I am going to drag my pips out of the way, and in it goes. Oh no, where's my Christmas thing gone? Oh, here she is.
Oh, I see another one.
Ta-da! I shall give it a little stir, and then the last magic ingredient is indeed brandy, so I'll pop that in as well. You probably think we're alcoholics in the UK. You're not far wrong, actually. Some of us anyway. What will happen over the next hour is the juice from the orange and the lemon and the brandy will obviously infuse and help make the fruit plump out a little bit. And I will leave it just on the worktop, somewhere out of the way. Francesco's now going to cook a dessert for Sunday, so I need to make some room. And then I'll come back to it when he's finished, and then I'll continue the rest of the recipe.
Is that it for now?
That's it for now. Okay, I'm back again. Now we're going to get on with the next stage of the cake. I have butter and brown sugar. You can also use muscovado sugar. I've used dark brown sugar because that's what I've got in my cupboard. So I'm going to pop them into my mixer and then we'll turn it on. Now the idea with this stage of the cake is that you, either with a hand whisk, an electric whisk or indeed a machine, you mix them together until they become quite light and fluffy. This is a really important part of the pudding, helps it to rise, so don't skimp on this bit. Okay, that's ready now. So the next stage is to add your eggs. Now I'm going to add them one at a time with a teaspoon of my pre-sifted SR flour, and that will stop it from curdling. So that's 1 egg and a little flour. And here we go. I'll mix that in. I'm going to mix in on the way 1 level teaspoon of mixed spice. That is altogether too much, so let's pop some of that back. It's a bit awkward, but I think that's about the amount I'm looking for. Can you see? So pop that in with the flour. In the UK, we have something called SR flour, and basically it's your flour with some baking powder added to it. You'll have to adapt to whatever it is you use in the country you're in. Okay, time for the second egg. And here is the flour. Right, and I'll turn that on again. Just nice and slowly so it doesn't spray me with the flour until it gets going. The next stage is to fold the rest of the flour in. Yet again, when I'm using my machine, I'm just going to put it on a really slow timing so that it will just turn it over and it will be the same effect. Obviously you can do it by hand, up to you. So using my trusty spatula, I'm just making sure that all of the mix is loose to make sure it all gets mixed together. Now I'll fold in the flour.
And you're gonna do that for long now?
Just until it's all mixed together, which it nearly is, look, can you see?
Yep.
I'm going to give it a quick whiz. Yet again, I'm cleaning off the residue. It's the only thing with these machines, they do need a little bit of attention. Okay, that's ready. Now I have some breadcrumbs that I made earlier. I'll pop them in.
These are fresh breadcrumbs.
Fresh breadcrumbs, yeah. And some almonds. I've got flaked almonds in my cupboard, so that's what I'm going to use, but you could use whole almonds and then crush them a bit. If you like, chop them up, that would be fine as well. Personally, I've got this bag open and I think they could do with being eaten, so I'm popping those in. And that is all the ingredients for this time. I'll just give them a quick mix. Lovely. Now the next stage is to combine my previously, oh look at that, can you see how the fruit has absorbed all of the moisture, Francesca? It's really plumped up nicely, look.
Beautiful.
Now the idea now is to mix these all together, so I can either go fruit into there or that into here. What do you think, dear? What would you prefer me to do?
I would go in the machine.
You think so? Yeah, let's pop it all in. I've got room in my machine, so I can do. Oh, it smells lovely. I can even see the chunks of orange and lemon, which is lovely too. Make sure it all goes in, don't want to waste anything. And I'll turn it on a slow mix so it combines it all together. Look at that, lovely, super, simple as that.
Literally a few seconds.
Literally. The next part is preparing my bowls. The mixture I'm doing is sufficient for 2.5 pints. Now, I haven't even got a 2.5 pint bowl, so I've got a, what have I got, Francesca? I think I've got a 1 and a 1.5, or a 1 and a 1.5. So the next stage is to take my trusty kitchen roll and rub some butter around them. And quite simply, you get your knob of butter and wipe it all around the bowl. Right, let's have a go at the second one. Can you get in there to see?
Yep.
Lovely.
Literally cover the entire surface.
Yep, entire surface. Just like that. Now my lovely husband has prepared for me 2 pieces of tin foil, just small squares. The idea is you pop them in the bottom like this. I think this is twofold. I think this is number 1, so that when you take them out, it will help it loosen and come out. Number 2, just to make sure that the base doesn't burn at all, because we're going to be steaming them on the hob in a saucepan. Okay, so that's ready. I'll just push it in so it's well and truly up against the sides, just like that. So the next stage is to spoon the mixture into the 2 bowls and then push it down as you go along so it's nicely packed in. Here we go. Ooh, look at that, lovely. I'm smelling, sorry, I'm having trouble with my, Christmas pudding on my head. I'm filling the first one by packing it down slowly, as you can see. This is my smaller one.
So that's the 1 pint one.
Yeah, just keep gently pushing it down as you go. Lovely, let's go to my second one. Oh, that's literally all my mix. I obviously could have got away with 2 of the 1 pints. I don't think it's going to make too much difference anyway.
Not really, no.
Okay, ready for the next stage. So here I've got a piece of greaseproof paper and a piece of foil. Now the idea is that they are big enough to cover the top of your bowl, but also fold them. So the idea is we want a pleat in the middle, and the pleat will allow for a little bit of expansion and steam, etc. So what I will do, if you zoom in, can you see I folded like this, and I will fold back.
So just a second, may I?
Yep.
So you've got that going on in the middle.
Basically a fold in the middle, and then this one is perfect size to pop onto my bigger bowl, just
the
like
aluminium
this.
is on the outside.
Aluminium's on the outside.
Okay.
And you can see I've got sort of a good thumb's
Yeah, good inch
space
there, yep.
each side. I'm just going to gently push that into shape.
Perfect.
And then I have a piece of string that I prepared earlier. Oh, it's just like Blue Peter, one
Yes,
I
it
prepared
is, yes.
earlier. The idea is now that I will tie that around. Yep, so if you pop your thumb on there,
Well, you
I'll
push
use
it.
my tummy to hold it in position, and then we will tie a knot. Okay, now if you can see, I can gently pull this all up, and then that's nice and tight, ready for cooking and steaming in the saucepan. What I will do though is maybe cut off a little bit of this excess material. We don't need all of that sitting around, so lovely. Pleased with that. Now I'm leaving a couple of long strings like this, which I might even do a little knot into, so it gives me something to grab hold of when they're hot and they've been cooked.
Oh.
Otherwise, it's hard to know what to grab hold of. So.
Great tip, that.
And obviously when you put it in the saucepan, try and make sure that the string is sitting on top like this so that you can then grab it and just gently lift it out later on. So that's number one done, and I'll do the second one. And fold and onto the top. Always handy to have somebody nearby in case you need a spare finger. That doesn't sound. Might be handy to have somebody nearby in case you need something to hold the knot. Otherwise, good luck. Right, here we go. Give it a quick trim. Okay, there we go. They're both ready to put on the hob and steam. Okay, now the next stage involves the steaming of the puddings. Now I'm going to be using this rather enormous pasta bowl, a pasta saucepan that we brought back from Sicily years ago. Now I've got several options of what to put in the bottom. The idea is you don't want the bowl to sit on the bottom of the saucepan because that might burn. So you use either, in my case, some jam jar lids, which I will place in the bottom like this. 1, 2, 3. And then I could sit my bowl on top of that, or a plate, my mum said, mum's tip. However, I don't really have any old plates, but I do have this, which is like a flan dish, so I could use that at the bottom. And in fact, I think I will. So I'm going to remove those and pop that at the bottom. So as you can see, the bowl won't connect with the bottom of the saucepan, and that's what you're really looking for. These would work fine though. Now I'm going to pop my larger one on the bottom, just like that. Now for your middle, because I'm going to put one on top of the other, if you don't have a saucepan big enough, and I'm actually looking at that and wondering whether it'll fit actually. Should we try? Hang on.
Go for it.
Let's have a look. So I'm going to put this, I don't know if anybody's got this. This is an old trivet of mine. Should have legs, they've fallen off. However, it's nice and flat and it won't pierce the
No, you can use a
foil.
plate. You can use a plate.
Or you could use an old plate, but as I
Yeah.
said, I haven't got any old plates, so I'm going to be using this. But I'm going to put it on like that, upside down, and then I'm going to pray a little bit. Oh yes, we're good. Look at that, perfect. So he can go on top like that. And then let's just make sure, fabulous, so it will all work. So I'm happy with that. At this point, I'm just going to pour some boiling water down the side so that the bottom third of my lower bowl is covered by the hot water. I'll take that out so you can see, Francha. There we go. What do you reckon?
Looks good.
Just to recap, something on the bottom to stop the bowl to connect with the bottom of the saucepan. Then your first one. I'm using this, could use a plate. And your second bowl goes on top. Hot water is in there, steam is rising, you can see already, so we're on a roll. Of course, if you're making one or you haven't got a saucepan big enough, you could do 2 individual saucepans. And if you've got a steamer, we've actually got one, but we thought it was best to use the saucepan. But if you've got a steamer, you can put them on each level of your steamer. One thing you must do, regardless of what you choose to use, is to keep an eye on the hot water. Make sure it's topped up so that it doesn't run dry. You don't want that to happen. So I'm going to give myself a bit of a timer, and Alexa will go off every hour and just remind me to have a quick look and make sure that there's still hot water inside. Now I'm going to be steaming this for about 7 hours. Because I've done them in glass bowls, I will be able to actually look at the mix inside, and you should see it getting nice and dark as the cooking time goes by. So See you in 7 hours and fingers crossed. Me again, forgot to mention, when you put it on the hob, you need to bring it to the boil and then turn it down to simmer and then cook it for 7 hours. As I say, keep checking on the water. Sorry about that, a little bit of a slip there, forgot that bit. So, see you in 7 hours. Try not to bring the decorations down. Hi, am I back? We didn't realise how late it was last night when we were doing this, the puddings. So we, in the end, we just turned them off at about 11 o'clock after about 6.5 hours. And we allowed the residual heat to continue to steam them. And then this morning, I removed them from the big saucepan. And this is actually the bigger one. And I'm going to show you what we do if you want to store it for a few weeks or months until Christmas. In this particular case, I'm actually going to leave this one and probably we won't eat it until next year, maybe even at Easter actually. And then I've got another one on the hob, which I'm warming through thoroughly, and I'll explain that to you a little bit more in a moment. But back to this one. So in order to store it, we need to first of all remove the topping. So string comes off and this covering. And look at the lovely deep colour on that, look.
Yeah.
Shall I have a smell? Oh, very nice. Very nice.
You smell the brandy?
Yeah, you can. These are quite boozy, yeah. In order to store them for a long while, you can make these in sort of September, October time. As you know, I'm a little bit later this year. You could now, if you wanted to, pop a little bit more brandy on. I personally feel they've probably got enough in them, so I'm not going to add any more. So what I will do is, as I did before, piece of greaseproof, piece of tin foil, and we do exactly the same as we did before we cooked it. Pop a pleat in the middle.
Why are you doing that again?
I'm popping a pleat in because it will now stay like this until we steam it on the actual day that we want to eat it.
No, but why couldn't you leave the old one?
The reason you replace it is because you can see the condensation has got into this piece. Everything is a bit sticky and wet and damp. It's not ideal.
Especially if you're storing a long time, I suppose.
Yeah, because the idea is with this, when we put the new one on, oh look, I've shook all the water and I'll have to wipe that. When we put the new topping on, then that will be able to stay like that in a cool, dark cupboard for a few months until you eat it. In actual fact, we have been known on many an occasion to make too many and leave them until the following winter and eat them. And I have to say, they are delicious if you leave them a bit longer. But personal choices. If you prefer to have yours quickly, not a problem at all. And don't forget, everybody, we like to leave a bit of a long piece on the end, so when you're getting it out of your saucepan, when it's steamed and it's hot, you've got something to get hold of. And I'm actually going to put a pretty ribbon on this one so it looks nice in the cupboard. How's that?
That's good.
Oh, she looks so pretty. So I can pop this one out of the way for now, and I'll show you what we do when we re-steam the pudding ready to eat it on Christmas Day. So let's bring our saucepan over. As you can see, for reheating purposes, you just need something a little bit bigger than the container you've got. A third of the dish should be in hot boiling water and let it simmer, minimum an hour. It's been known many a time in my house that we'll put it on a couple of hours before lunch, and I kind of think it then sort of helps it even cook and deepen with flavour even more. So minimum an hour and it should be cooked through. When you've got it in there, I mean obviously you could use a cloth and grab both sides, but my nanny always told me to use this, so I always did.
Oh, bless her.
And I'll gently pick that out. We will cut off the string and remove the top again. As you can see, and there she is. She's all lovely and dark and should smell gorgeous. Yep, lovely. Oh yeah, oh, lovely. We tend to get the plate that we're serving it on and pop it on top. And then gripping the bottom of the bowl, can you see I've got it? We just flip it over, just like that. I don't know if you can see, but I can see that the foil and the pudding has already dropped away from the side of the bowl.
That's a good thing, isn't it?
Good, yeah, that's what you want. That shows that your butter works and it's not stuck. Okay, so I'll gently remove that. And then we'll just peel the foil off. Very gently, because I don't want to spoil it. One thing I didn't do, and maybe I should have done, but I didn't really think about it, was put a little butter on the inside of the foil. But in all honesty, it's come off lovely. Right, if that's my middle, we'll pop it there. Lovely. And that is your basic Christmas pudding. So it's all ready, as you can see, looking lovely, smelling delicious actually. Now, traditionally in the UK, it used to be such a thing that you'd put a halfpenny piece in. However, we don't do it these days because we don't want to break our fillings or break our teeth, because dentistry is too expensive in the UK as it stands at the moment. We haven't done that for quite a lot of years, really. The other thing that some people do is to light some brandy on top. It's not something we tend to do because we tend to buy either a lovely thick double cream with more brandy, with brandy in. Yeah, again, you're thinking we're alcoholics. And which is my mum loves that. Me and my sister, however, we really love it when we make like a white sweet sauce. Yet again, we do add a little brandy to that as well. And then we pour that on top and we serve it. If you'd like a recipe for the white sauce, then by all means pop me a message and I can easily pop one on there for you. But it's basically a white sweet sauce and then you add a few tablespoons of brandy. It's my favourite. Now we're going to try it. So are you ready, Francho? We'll try the pudding.
Good keen. This is a treat. Normally we don't get to taste the pudding until Christmas Day.
No, absolutely. Pop her out. Oh, look at how lovely and dark it is inside. Looking lovely.
Feels quite moist as well.
Yeah, as you can see in there, look, it's lovely and dark all through. Oh, this is a first. I don't normally get to try everything. Well, not officially anyway. Here we go.
Yeah, you normally get to try them before me.
Lovely. I can taste the almond flakes. Nice and crunchy, gives some really lovely texture. Lovely and deep. Lovely.
Yeah, lovely.
I don't know what more to say, it's lovely. Taste of Christmas to me, so I'm really enjoying that. What I'm actually going to do, in case you're interested, is we won't now make a pig of ourselves and eat the rest of this. So I will going to wash my bowl, I'm going to pop it back in, and I'm going to make another cover, and then I will put it aside, and that will stay fresh. As long as it's all nicely sealed, it will stay fresh until Christmas. And then we'll have this one this year, but the other one I'm saving till next year. So that's me done for this year. I hope you've enjoyed my little foray into Tortellino world. I hope you've enjoyed it anyway. If you want to send me any messages or ask any questions, then feel free to do so. And you might see me next year. I might make something nice next year if you want. Thanks for now. Merry Christmas, everyone.